How do you maintain communication and collaboration in your own businesses?
So I guess my client base is slightly the opposite way. I'm looking at all of our fee earners, etc. and so on. And for the last 2 years, we've been very interested in improving buildings, but how we communicate those improvements and how we communicate the environment that our staff are working in. A little bit of a legacy from COVID. And sometimes you can over-communicate internally, massively, in terms of putting the temperature on the wall. You'll have 400 different opinions in terms of whether it's too hot or too cold. But if you keep going, you keep at it, and you keep working with people, ultimately those average out over a longer period of time, and you build up trust, I guess, internally, that actually the building is being well managed. Ultimately, you can't look at one set of data, you can look at it over a period of time. And then we convey to our staff, and we've developed some tools internally like smart campers to collaborate with our design teams who are using these spaces that we're looking after. And it's got some one-touch buttons, and we're getting feedback from there, whether they're happy or unhappy with the space. Not direct questions, but just is your environment, much broader questions, etc. We've got the data behind it. So it's really interesting in terms of how you communicate and collaborate with my client base and people using the spaces, and how much do you communicate to them, and how. And then we put up CO2, we've got all of the measurements that we're taking from sensors, waste management of floors, etc. So if we can understand the use of our buildings, then we can improve it. In terms of, we have sensors all over our washrooms and toilets. I'm sure many of you do. We were in 1970s, 1980s buildings. How are they performing? How often are the washrooms available to staff, etc. If I can learn more about my building, I can provide more and better services for those staff, which leads me looking back down to the supply chain. So I collaborate internally with our clients.
And I have quite a unique perspective on communication internally, because I'm fortunate to work with both clients and service providers on all sides, so I see it from all sides. And you can take a fairly old-fashioned view to communication if you want. I remember back in my old military days, long time ago, where it was very straightforward. The commanding officer had a weekly meeting, he told 5 people, 5 majors what was going on. They told 4 platoon commanders, they told 4, everyone knew. So within an hour of the commanding officer telling 4 people, an entire battalion knew what was going on. But it was word of mouth, but everyone knew. Now, I find, looking at both sides of it, internal communication in the modern day is important. It's really important, and you can communicate things in many different ways. Verbally, as I've just said, that's fine. I do find, and I'm just speaking from what I've seen over the years, a level of management sometimes in companies, both the service provider and the client side, where the disseminated information has hit a level and then it seems to stop, so that a number of people within either of the organisations haven't got a blind clue what's going on, whatever day of the week it is, because they simply haven't been told. But I see people having lots of briefings all the time, and I'm just concerned as to what they're actually nattering about, because they're not nattering about the day ahead or the week ahead. But we've got the technology that can help us to communicate things. I'm sure there are people in this room, it's basic stuff where they've got screens near lift cores and all the rest of it that are constantly telling the people in the building what's going on, telling them, as Mike just mentioned, how the building is actually working. And actually, it was something my son taught me a while back. If you ask certain people in an organisation for an idea, and certain people, because they never get asked, 9 times out of 10, they've got a really good idea. You talk to the receptionist, you talk to the security guard, they will tell you what's wrong before anyone else will tell you. But not enough people communicate verbally around the working day. And so the sort of business of doing business becomes overcomplicated. And that's just an observation of mine. You do need people engaged, because a lot of the time it's changing what's going on, and no one likes that. But if they're brought along for the ride, I do caution it sometimes. If you ask 100 people their opinion, you'll get 100 opinions, and it might not be the one you wanted. So it's just a fine balance sometimes for CEOs and MDs and so forth to decide much or how little are we actually going to involve everyone in the colour of the paint on the wall. You know, there's a line that gets drawn for the right reasons. But communicating with staff, whether they be the service provider or the client, core staff doing whatever they do, should not be difficult, but it fails on a daily basis from what I see.
So, I've been in facilities for 25 years. I've been in facilities for 25 years, by the way. And it's always been corporate. Some of the very big boys until about 5 years ago working at SME. And I've certainly learned the good, the bad and the ugly. I've seen some magnificent examples of great culture, which I think is what you're pointing at, really, when you talk about internal communication is culture. You know, I sat in McLaren's reception once and watched a load of people as they went through reception put their arms up, and that's what the hell was going on, and they said they're celebrating, it's the trophy cabinet. You know, their view was, you ask anyone in the building at McLaren what they do, and they'll say, I help win F1 races. That's what they'll say. So I embrace that mantra. I think feedback is incredibly important, and I think involvement in high-level business strategy is what makes people passionate about your business. So our strategy, for instance, anyone in my business can put together a paper and submit that to board for approval at strategy level. Anyone. It's automatic. You can put a form in, say this is the business idea I've got, and it may be implemented. Every month we sit with the entire business on a Zoom, and people think I'm crazy for doing it, but it means that everybody from top to bottom gets a chance to tell me there's some things I don't want to. I hear about ball crunching trousers from our engineers, for God's sake. I hear some of the worst feedback and some of the best feedback. But some of the pearls of ideas and wisdom that come from the people on the ground is absolutely essential to having a business that's engaged. And I agree with you, Mike. I certainly have a business that I would say I've worked in lots of FM organisations where no one knows what the hell is going on. In my business, everybody knows too much of what's going on, and I'm highly criticised for it. But I also think it's what makes my business special. It's why my clients engage with me and come to work for me. It's the reason why, we've got such a talented team. And appreciation is another massive thing. People in COVID have forgotten how to celebrate as teams, how to have awards, how to communicate face to face. All of those things have been lost. Sitting in front of a screen is not good enough. Having business meetings without having a pint and a packet of crisps afterwards as a girl from Stoke is not good enough. So for me, internal communication is all about getting to know, I think the answer said it great is, we're professionals, but we're all people first, right? Everybody has hobbies, and I know most of my engineers personally and their children, and I think that's a really good place to be.
So, Mike, Brian, Claire, I want to thank you so much for your contributions coming up here today and sharing some of your experience and knowledge and ideas with the crowd. So thank you for your time, and thank you everyone.